This is Fashion Fridays. Every Friday we present you with a fashion icon or topic. Today we're looking at 15 things you didn't know about Celine. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, and welcome to another exciting original video presented by Alux.com. Today we're revealing some interesting and surprising facts about Celine, one of the most unique fashion companies today. Celine is a ready-to-wear clothing line and leather goods company. It was started in France in 1945 by Celine Vipiana and her husband. Her first boutique was opened on 52 Rue Malte in Paris. She was actually an original designer from 1945 to 1997. By the time she passed away, Celine saw her little children's shoe company turn into a French powerhouse in the fashion industry. In 1996, the company was acquired by Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy and is still owned by them today. Under LVMH, the design house has gone through a lot of changes, but it has not lost its place in the fashion world. The company has seen its fair share of creative directors since Celine's death in 1997. Michael Kors and Phoebe Philo, two international fashion icons, both managed to last almost 8 years before the newest creative director, Hedi Slimane, took over the reins. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. Now that we've gone over some background info, let's take a closer look at this fashion brand with the 15 things you didn't know about Celine. Number 1. Celine opened her business as a small company making children's shoes. Celine Vipiana did not set out to be a large fashion designer. She actually started small, making made-to-measure shoes for children. It wasn't until 15 years later that she actually decided to branch out into women's clothing. She wanted to make ready-to-wear clothes resembling sportswear so she could compete with other fashion designers. She never dreamed her little shoe store would evolve to what it has become today. Number 2. The brand found big success in 1964 with a fragrance launch. Up until 1964, Celine focused on women's sportswear. The company had dabbled in leather goods, such as gloves, bags, and loafers as well. When they launched their Van Foo perfume in 1964, along with their American Sulky collection of clothing, Celine gained a lot of success. It made the company appealing to a much wider audience than just leather goods. In fact, the company found so much success that Celine decided to open a leather factory in France to keep up with demands. Number 3. Celine was the first designer to introduce moccasins as fashionable shoes. Prior to launching her clothing line in 1969, Celine Vipiana designed the first line of moccasins for women. She borrowed the design from traditional Native American footwear. Up until that point, no one had made moccasins a designer footwear. She wanted her shoes to go along with the line of handbags she designed. It was a perfect fit. Number 4. When Louis Vuitton bought into Celine's business, it became a household name. Celine had become a rather successful line between 1945 and 1984. The line caught the attention of Louis Vuitton. Years later, in 1996, the Celine line was fully integrated into the LVMH line, launching it to international success. LVMH made the brand a household name in France when it opened its first boutique at 36 Avenue Montaigne in Paris. Number 5. As mentioned, LVMH acquired the Celine line in 1996 for $545 million. When Celine was fully integrated into the LVMH company back in 1996, Celine Vipiana received $545 million. Sadly, though, Celine would only live 1 year longer. Up until the sale, Celine had been the head designer for over 30 years. Upon her death, LVMH appointed different creative designers to oversee the Celine division. Number 6. There was some fear the brand would not survive Celine's death in '97. Celine Vipiana had been the main designer for most of the company's life. When she passed away in '97, the company did struggle. In fact, Celine has gone through 4 different designers since her passing. For the most part, aside from Michael Kors, early candidates couldn't last longer than a few years. The last designer, Phoebe Philo, had been with the company for almost 10 years when she was replaced in 2018 with Hedi Slimane. Number 7. The brand's current creative director removed the Yves from Yves Saint Laurent. Hiring Hedi Slimane this year was a risk. When he took over at YSL in 2012, he shocked the world of fashion by slashing the Yves in the name. However, his reputation for fresh new lines and increased sales appealed to LVMH owner Bernard Arnault. Although it's too early to tell, Slimane has promised to introduce a new Celine men's line. Not sure how the original Celine would have felt about this, seeing how she strictly catered to women for almost 60 years. Number 8. In December 2012, Celine sued Enzo for making knockoff Celine Boogie Bags. One of the most popular of Celine's handbags was the Boogie Bag. In 2002, the company became aware that Enzo, a designer owned by Jones Apparel, was selling knockoffs of the Boogie Bag. They filed a suit in court and asked for an immediate temporary injunction against Enzo. Not only did Celine feel that Enzo had stolen the design, but they were also upset that the competitor was selling cheap versions of what had always been a designer bag. In December 2002, the court agreed to turn the restraining order into a permanent injunction. Number 9. In 1973, Celine changed its logo from its original red elephant to an intertwined C. When Celine first opened, its logo was a red elephant. The logo was designed by the late Raymond Pennant. 30 years later, the company changed its logo with the advent of the sulky line. It changed to the letter C, intertwined with the famous Arc de Triomphe. Celine wanted a logo that was more recognizable and reminiscent of Parisians. It was around this time that Celine started to get popular in other cities as well, such as Monte Carlo, Geneva, and Hong Kong. Number 10. In fall-winter of 2017, Celine branched out with its first ties to India. Last year, just in time for the fall and winter line, Celine partnered up with Le Mille, a multi-designer boutique in India. This is the first time the line had been sold in the country. The co-founder of Le Mille, Cecilia Morelli-Perique, said she had always been a fan of the iconic French label and their understanding of the modern woman. Number 11. New creative director Hedi Slimane is adding a men's line to Celine for 2018. Hedi Slimane started with the company on February 1st, 2018, and debuted his first line at Paris Fashion Week in September. For the first time, Slimane introduced a men's line for Celine. Celine has always been a women's designer, offering women's clothing, shoes, and handbags. This was the first time Celine showcased anything for men. Knowing his past style, fans definitely expected to see Slimane's super skinny style for men found in the collection. Number 12. No clear reason was given for why longtime creative director Phoebe Philo decided to part ways with Celine in 2018. In 2010, Phoebe Philo was recruited by Bernard Arnault to become the creative director of the company. During her time with Celine, Philo received 2 awards, Designer of the Year for 2010 and International Designer of the Year in 2011. Before coming to work at Celine, Philo was a creative director for Chloé. In 2017, rumors began to circulate about Philo leaving the company. She confirmed the rumors in the beginning of 2018, announcing that her spring line coming out in March would be her last with the French design house. Although she thanked Arnault for giving her the opportunity with Celine almost 10 years prior, she gave no reason for her departure. It's not clear whether she chose to leave on her own, or if LVMH had forced her out the door with their eye on Hedi Slimane. Number 13. Celine introduced women to the famous trench coat in 1964. Although Celine entered the fashion world by designing children's shoes, by 1964, she'd moved into women's fashion. In that year, Celine started making the women's trench coat. the trench coat soon became a fixture in women's closets around the world. Furthermore, the trench stayed a part of women's fashion for decades and may even be staging a comeback. Number 14. Michael Kors became the first ready-to-wear designer and creative director for Celine. When we hear Michael Kors' name today, we associate it with his own line of clothing, shoes, and perfumes. Few people realize, though, that he got his start with Celine. When Celine Vipiana passed away in 1997, Kors became the first ever ready-to-wear designer and creative director for Celine. He stayed with the company from 1997 until 2004. While working for Celine, Kors brought modern femininity with a luxurious spirit to the brand. Number 15. Celine is now carried in over 160 stores worldwide. Celine, the company that started out with one small boutique in France, is now carried in over 160 stores worldwide. Their fashion is sold in some of the most famous department stores, including Bergdorf Goodman, Barney's, and Harrods. However, its headquarters has always remained in Paris, France. It premieres at all the major fashion shows around the world and continues to carve its place in the illustrious French fashion scene. Well, Aluxers, that wraps up our 15 things you didn't know about Celine. Now that you've learned some more about the company, we would love to know. Do you think Celine is helping or hurting the brand by introducing a men's line? Let us know what you think in the comments. And as always, for sticking with us until the end and being a true Aluxer, here's your bonus. Number 16. Fashion designer Karl Lagerfeld shed over 90 pounds to fit into one of Hedi Sliman's outfits. Karl Lagerfeld is currently the creative director of Chanel and Fendi, and he's known around the world as a fashion icon. Lagerfeld was so taken with the designs of Celine's new creative director, Hedi Sliman, that he lost 90 pounds just to fit into one of Sliman's super skinny men's suits. Lagerfeld applauded LVMH's choice to hire Sliman as its new creative director this past February, and you can probably be sure he'll be keeping an eye on him as his career blossoms. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.